PGMOL have released a statement on saying a significant human error occurred in the first half of the game, including the goal for Luis Diaz, which they say was a clear and obvious factual error and should have resulted in the goal being awarded through VAR intervention. But significantly, they say the VAR failed to intervene. Jurgen Klopp has read that statement now, and he has been speaking about it in his press conference.
Factual error. Does that...
Who does that help now? We had that situation in the Man United game. Did Wolves get points for it? No. We will not get points for it, so it doesn't help. I think what everybody wants, that nobody expects 100% right decisions on field. But I think we all thought when VAR comes in, it might make things easier. I don't know why the people in the VAR are they that much under pressure. Today the decision was made really quick, I would say, for that goal. It changed the momentum of the game. So that's how it is. We scored that goal. It was top, outstandingly well played. In a game where you don't get a lot to feel better, so and then you make that's a super important information. That's how we can hurt them. That's how we can beat them. Stuff like this. So it was super difficult.
Well, if he was frustrated in his post-match interview with Patrick Davison, he was even more so by the time he got into the press conference. The first question that he asked about it, though, was who does the statement help? And the PGMOL admitting to the decision, admitting to the error, the human error that they say was made. What difference does that make to the overall outcome of the game?
Well, I think for everybody at home, us included, we want to know what was a human error. Were the lines drawn the wrong way? Did it actually break down in there? I mean, I don't. We went to Stockley Park to see exactly how it's done. Now, my sympathy is with them that it's a pressurised situation. You've got very few seconds to draw lines, etc. Make sure you get everything right. Calibrate it, and make sure that you get to the right outcome. With this situation, we don't even know whether they've got the lines, whether the lines are broken, and how many other times has this happened before. It just feels this is carnage for them right now. This is such a bad look for VAR, for the Premier League. This is the last thing that it needs right now.
The problem is, Jamie, I know it's tough, the refs have to do here and at Stockley Park, but VAR was brought in to take away the human error. Now it's just added another layer of it. We've got human error on the pitch, and then we go to VAR, and it's another human error. And we're sitting here debating for hours on end about decisions where VAR should have taken away that.
Yeah, because with offside, that's a matter of fact. Other decisions are contentious. We don't know. We can talk about them. This is somebody at Stockley Park saying offside or not.
The red card.
This is just somebody. This is a guy that thinks, I think that's a bad tackle. I think you should go and look at that. That's a red card. With those ones, we all really have to trust in that situation. We've trusted the offside and believe in it and think, well, we have to just walk away. And even players at times, when you're on the pitch, you think, well, that's the end of that. Was fine. We'll walk away. As you're a player there, you're thinking, I was onside there. That can't be right. I think there's been loads more of those as well.
The two rock-solid elements of technology intervention in football over the last few years have been goal line technology and the application of offside, because even if you think that you don't believe in it, the lines are drawn in the same position every single time. What that does today is undermine other decisions over the last few weeks, months, year, where you think, hang on, was that right? You start to undermine the process of offside, which actually, the two that everybody I think were fixed on that were actually being delivered on a consistent basis were goal line technology and offside. That is a really bad one. The one thing I would say is, Kelly, on the point of, sorry, who does it help? And Jurgen Klopp saying that, I'm disappointed with that. I think, to be fair, we should never underplay the idea of people admitting a mistake and saying sorry. A lot of people in football don't say sorry. A lot of people in football, to be fair, are happy to sort of blame other people and say that it's someone else's fault. So the idea that the referees have come out and said, we've got this wrong, it's a bad human error.
They haven't apologised.
Well,
they've explained that it was a human error.
Well, they've come out and said it's human. They've admitted their mistake, which is, to be fair, more than what a lot of people do in football. You don't get many players, including myself during my career, when you've made a bad mistake, coming out and owning up on television. So I think we should accept that they've made a mistake. I don't want to see someone lose their job in any walk of life, but this is a really bad one for them, and I don't want to see someone lose their job. Last time this happened last year, that happened. I hope that we're in a situation whereby the person who, to be fair, has done it, I don't even know who it is, gets maybe a sort of a couple of games off, but then can come back in and they can reintegrate himself. People and fans at home, Liverpool fans, might not see that as being a thing. I feel sorry for Liverpool tonight, and to be fair, that's me going soft after 11 years out of Manchester United. My team have lost today, but actually after that, with Matip, for obviously Liverpool with that decision, you have to feel a degree of empathy. But I think my view would be simply that is a really nice other offsides. I've been worried about offsides for a few weeks. Right, might be unfounded, but I'm worried about them because I think there's certain things I've looked at. I thought that isn't right. You've mentioned before about
trusted it though, Gary. Haven't we? That's
and this is why the investigation that they have said that they're going to launch into this is so important, because as you said, people who do have that natural scepticism about VAR, about the technology in football, this will be grist to their mill, if you like. This is something that they can use.
They're going to bring in the automated system. Apparently, they're testing it at the moment, aren't they?
This is what I was going to say. The World Cup, they had the semi-automated system. It worked perfectly. The Premier League were offered it at the start of the season. They turned it down. So, for me, there can be no sympathy.
No, Gary has joined us. I felt I should explain that rather than just pretending he'd been here all alone. He's come down from the gantry, and there were a lot of contentious decisions in this game. What was your opinion of the standard of officiating overall?
Look, I mean, the red card of Curtis Jones, there'll be probably 50% of the people think it's a red and 50% might think that, to be fair, it's a bit harsh and the yellow was fine. The Jota one, I don't think there'll be much sympathy for him. I don't think Jurgen Klopp had any sympathy for Jota because he just went and sat down on his bench, started speaking about how he was going to move the game on.
You said that particularly about the second instance, didn't you? When he'd already been given the yellow card.
Yeah, but I've just reflected on the first one. He could have got booked a couple of minutes before the first one for a challenge at the edge of the box. And I think the referees probably thought, well, hang on a minute, this is your second one now. So maybe that's why he's booked him for the second one. I don't have much sympathy for Jota. I think he's the one that will feel he's let his teammates down a little bit. But I think from Curtis Jones' point of view, that will be... It's not a howler, that one, by the referee, by the way. I just think the way in which they showed the actual incident drove the referee towards sending him off anyway, because you show him in that position whereby it always looks terrible, doesn't it, when that sort of them studs are on the ankle like that. But it's how it gets there. That wasn't a football player doing another football player, was it?
Intent was
no,
there. And in our era, we remember it very well, where you had to protect yourself. People used to get taught to roll over the ball to try to make sure you go over the top. Nowadays, I just don't think anybody does that. I just think that was a complete accident.
I think the problem is, like you said, as the referee's running over, it's already on that freeze frame of him being in his shin. So already he's running over with the impression that this could be a red card. Look, you can see it here. It's on that freeze frame already.
Do you know the thing as a football player, we actually universally as football players hate that challenge. We hate to see that challenge where someone's gone over the top to break another professional's leg, another player's leg. We hate it. We would say, get off if he'd done that. That wasn't one of those.
But
we've had it done.
That's an ex-player's perspective, and from a referee's
but
perspective, from a viewer's perspective, and from a spectator's perspective.
I get it, Kelly.
You can see that's potentially.
But should they not show him that at full speed to start with? Give him an opportunity to have a look at it, but just showing him like that, and that is, of course, that freeze frame looks horrendous, but it's not. It's how you get to that point.
I'll ask Gary the same question. Letter of the law may be wrong, but by the letter of the law, it's excessive force, right?
No, I mean, look, we can. I sort of understand. I do understand what you're saying, and people will say it's a red card. I just remember playing against Nani in training. Nani used to put his foot over the ball to try and pull it back and drag it away, and there's a lot of players do it, and Patrice Evra used to do it against me in training. Sometimes you go, you've done me there.
Paul Pogba do one here against Tottenham.
Yeah, it's like you've done me there, but they haven't. They actually, to be fair, it's what they do to actually protect the ball, to actually try and bring it away. And his foot slid over the top of the ball. If his foot doesn't slip over the top of the ball and he'd gone clear over the ball, I'd say absolutely no. But he doesn't do that. Yeah. His foot slips over the top of the ball, and then it throws his foot forward like that, which is why I don't think it was a red. But
yeah, I can see, when people say, I get it, but in terms of being malicious, or I didn't see that he was. Sometimes you see a player when they're really stretching, they're out of control. That's an out of control challenge.
Look, also as well, Basuma is so quick in that to get across, but he doesn't think Basuma's probably going to get there. It's so quick, all this, by the way, in the players' heads. Basuma just gets his foot in there quickly because that's what Basuma is. He's got that real sort of ability to get a foot in quickly, and he just gets caught out, Curtis Jones, I think, by the speed of everything.
And it's just before that as well. Sarr's pulling him as well. So as he's pulling him, he's sort of body then trying to get back into a situation where he can manipulate the ball away. Look, it's one of those, and like you say, I personally, I don't like it as a red card, but if they've got to that decision, I don't agree with it.
They've got to the decision. Liverpool are down to 9 men in the game. Ange Postecoglou joined us earlier, Gary, and was saying how difficult his team found it against the 9 men of Liverpool. What did they do? Because as the defender on our panel, what did they do to make life difficult for Spurs?
Well, look, Liverpool, to be fair, went into a back five, obviously, very narrow, with width of the box, and they had a 3 in front of it. So all their players were literally the width of the box. I just think from Tottenham's point of view, keep your wide players wider. And the other thing is, Tottenham's two fullbacks, we know famously this season, go inside and play inside. I think he should have pushed them back into traditional fullback positions and gone and played outside. You know, Porro should have gone and played with Kulusevski really wide, and so should Dodoghi on the other side, and stretch that Liverpool three in midfield to try and get across. And really sort of, if you like, Ange Postecoglou plays through the middle to then go out. He should have done it the other way and had the players out to stretch that Liverpool back 5 and 3, and they just didn't do that very well.
I think as well, I was taught as a kid, every time you play against 10 men or even 9 men, you've got to get overlaps from fullbacks. Every time, especially if you've got people like Kulusevski, wants to keep getting onto his left foot. That is food and drink for every centre-back. They've got 3 big centre-backs there. As soon as Porro goes down the outside, it causes you a different problem completely altogether. So that was something that I think you've always got to do, make it as wide as possible, the pitch, and keep getting overlaps in those situations.
I think the problem is when it was 10 men, they still had the threat of Salah, they still had the threat of Diaz, so they didn't want to fully commit because they were worried that they were going to get done on the other side.
We're talking about with 9 men here, aren't we? When they went to the 5 and the 3, when they went to the 5 and the 3 system, Liverpool, I think that's when they should have definitely split their full-backs wide along with the 2 wide players and kept them wide in those wide areas.
They did eventually get the win at Tottenham, though, because these Spurs fans, as we talked about earlier, now believe that their side can go and win games in difficult circumstances. Yes, it was an own goal from Joel Matip, but was this them doing exactly what the guys have talked about and making that opportunity? Yeah,
it's exactly that. I think it's the first time they were able to whip a ball in behind the back line as opposed to in front of them, which is food and drink for Matip and Van Dijk and the big 6-foot defenders.
Can we just go back to that previous angle? Where Porro was just about to cross it from that wide area? You know, no, the one before that, sorry. Matip's in there, and I just think he can get there quicker to set himself. John Terry was the very best at getting to that near post, planting his feet in concrete and sweeping it away like that. If you're going back in towards your own goal, just look at it now. Watch Matip. He just could have got back in there a bit quicker and set himself. And he just jogs back in there and he ends up just stretching for it a little bit. Now, people will say it's unlucky. The best defenders, you know, and I'm citing John Terry, he's one of the best of it. Tony Adams was brilliant at it as well. They'd get there, they'd plant the feet, they'd set themselves, and they'd have a good swing at it from a set position. Matip's moving towards his own goal, and you then just talking about like an inch one way off your shin pad or another, and it's in the back of your net or it goes past the post. And you see it quite often from centre-backs.
A little bit.
Jamie,
I'm just
going to jump in because we do have the statement from the PGMOL that's come through. PGMOL acknowledge a significant human error occurred during the first half of Tottenham Hotspur against Liverpool.
Oh, no.
The goal by Luis Diaz was disallowed for offside by the on-field team of match officials.
No.
This was a clear and obvious factual error and should have resulted in the goal being awarded through VAR intervention. However, the VAR failed to intervene, and this is why we couldn't get the shot of the lines being on the situation. PGMOL will conduct a full review into the circumstances which led to the error.
No, Kelly, seriously.
Yes, that's what's happened.
No, at the time, I thought we get VAR up on the commentary box before anybody else does, and I thought that's onside. And then all of a sudden, you just hear in your ear...
You need to expect you get a preview of the pictures, don't you?
We get a preview of the pictures up on the gantry, and we get the actual commentary from the VAR officials to the referee. And you all of a sudden, check complete. Like, what? No lines. It was so quick. And then obviously you've slowed it down at half-time. It was too quick, and something was obviously wrong. That is unbelievable. That is a bad one. Really, really... I mean, they said significant... That is very significant, and I think to be fair...
It makes you wonder how many others they've got.
Oh, no. There's a couple in the last few weeks that I just thought haven't been right, and I've been actually asking us, have we got the right cameras at these stadiums? We never seem to be in line anymore. We've always been in line.
But I think there's a difference between something to the eye looking offside and not intervening, which is what happened.
But Kelly, we do have the lines on the pitch. By the way, these groundsmen are laser. Yeah. Pinpoint accuracy, they never get a line wrong. So when you look at the lines on the pitch, they're so accurate, these lines.
They do calibrate them for perspective. I take your point, is that and the issue with this instance is that it then gives weight to that argument and makes it more difficult for people to accept.
I've defended VAR and offsides as being a matter of fact, but there's been 2 or 3 in the last few weeks where I've behind the scenes thought that doesn't feel right, the angle's not right. Have they drawn the lines on? And to me, that one, I mean, oh no.